right, welcome everyone to this Introduction to Confluence webinar. We are going to spend the next hour together taking a dive into the world of Confluence. We're going to start with the basics of the tool to get you up and running if you are new to it, and then we are going to discuss how we can really leverage Confluence within our teams and organizations. So let's get started. To start, my name is Vicki Bodorf, and I am a business process consultant at XPM, which is a Platinum Solutions partner with Atlassian. And I'll talk a bit more about what we do here at XPM and the services that we offer later on in this presentation. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about Confluence. I'd like to start this conversation by answering the question, what is Confluence? And Confluence is Atlassian's wiki-style editor that can serve as a document creation tool, an information sharing content portal, and a powerful reporting mechanism. The great thing about Confluence, as with many of our Atlassian tools, is the customization options and flexibility we have within the tool. Because of this, we are able to really utilize and leverage Confluence to best serve our teams and organizations efficiently. So now let's talk about the structure of Confluence. Confluence is made up of pages that live in spaces. If you're familiar with Jira, this is really similar to how Jira is made up of issues that live in projects. And on our pages is where our content lives. And this content can exist in a variety of forms. It can be straight text, it can be links to external resources or cross-references to other Confluence content. It can be attachments to images or files. We can utilize macros to help create dynamic and engaging content. And a lot of these macros let us integrate our Confluence pages with data and information we have in Jira. As you can see, there's a large variety of options we have available to create and customize our content. So let's take a look at some of these editing capabilities at our disposal. Because Confluence is a wiki-style editor, we are able to create rich text to easily format our pages into outlines using our heading functions, as I've done here. We can create bold, italicized, and colored text. We can add in lists, both bullet point and numbered lists. And we can even easily add in tables to our pages as well. Pretty much anything we can do in other wiki editors we might be familiar with, we can do in Confluence. There are also a couple of features that are more unique to Confluence. And the first one I want to discuss is the page layout function. And a page layout allows us to easily section off our page to include things like tables or attachments, images, maybe even macros right next to our text. And I've actually included one here under heading 3. And as you can see, this allows me to really break up my text when I have really long pages to again create that dynamic and engaging content for our users. Another functionality that we have in Confluence is the ability to create a task or an action item list. This can be done or used to create just a simple to-do list, or we can even @mention users and assign due dates to these tasks as well. Whenever we @mention a user on a task, it will then show up under their personal profile, where they can then manage all of the tasks assigned to them across multiple pages and spaces. And as we complete our action items, we are able to check them off. Confluence also has the capability for simultaneous editing, and this allows for and encourages a lot of group collaboration within the tool. So I'm actually going to jump into edit mode here so you can see exactly how this works. And my colleague, Elizabeth, is also going to jump into this page, and we're both going to be able to really edit this alongside each other. All right, we'll give her just a second. All right, so once Elizabeth jumps into this page, we are going to see, there we go, her profile picture here. So now I know we're both in this page, and we could even invite other users to join us as well. I can also see her cursor, which we'll see where she's at. Once she clicks on the page, we'll be able to see her cursor, and then we can both edit this page alongside each other. I could maybe bold part of this. Maybe I want to add in a bullet point list. And here I can even see Elizabeth's cursor and watch any edits that she is making. Once we've both made our changes, we are able to publish the page and the changes will be merged. All right, linking is another powerful editing capability we have in Confluence, and we are able to add in a variety of links to our pages. We can create internal links to other Confluence pages or spaces, which is a great way to create cross-references. We do this all the time whenever we are creating things like help or how-to articles. We even have a couple options, as you can see here, as to how these internal links display, which is just another way we can customize our pages to best serve our users and teams. We can also link to anything on the internet that's external to Confluence. Similar to other wiki editors, we can even add these links into other text whenever we don't want to see the full URL, as I've done here. These are, of course, clickable hyperlinks that will take us to the external site whenever a user clicks on them. And this is a really great way to link to external resources that our teams use frequently. Examples of that include linking to an external company intranet or a Google Drive or even a SharePoint. The other type of linking I want to talk about is the email or mail to linking. And this, the way this works is whenever a user clicks this link, a new email draft in their email program will be created with the to field already filled out. I'll go ahead and click this one here. And now you can see it's going to open up a new email draft for me, and the to field is filled in with my email address and also our XBM team email address. I really like to utilize these links on things like team homepages to make it quick and easy for members of our team, especially new members, to easily email their coworkers. And we can even add these types of links on top of our under other types of text or images as well. We also have the ability to add in attachments to our Confluence pages. And these attachments can be added in line with our text, as you see here, or we can actually utilize some macros to help us visualize our attachments. And it looks like one isn't quite loaded yet, so let me reload the page here. All right, here I've used the PDF macro, and once it loads, you'll see that I can see a preview of my PDF now. I can even zoom in, zoom out, and make this full screen as well. We also have the attachments macro, which gives us a list of all of the attachments living on the page. I can view more information about each of these attachments and easily download them as well. Now let's dive into this idea of macros. Macros are elements that we can add into our pages to help make them more interactive and dynamic. This is showing my nerdy side a little bit, but I really love macros and I find them pretty fun in Confluence. I know the word macro is often intimidating to new users, but in Confluence, the macros are really user-friendly. Most of them are really simple and easy to pick up. There are a couple that are a bit more complex, but once we learn how to use them and set them up, they can be incredibly helpful. We just looked at two examples of macros, the PDF and the attachments macro, but let's look now at some other examples that I've included. These examples are all macros that we use all the time here at XBM and also while we are creating content for our clients. To start, I have the information panel macro, and this is a way for us to easily call attention to important information on a page by enclosing it in this colored box here. And there are a couple of different color options for this macro. We then have our status macro, and this is really great because it is something that we manually update in Confluence, and we are able to include any text here, and we also have a couple color options for this macro as well. We use this a lot at XBM to identify if a page is still in a draft form or not. Next, we have one of my personal favorite macros, which is the expand macro, and this is a way for us to essentially hide information on a page. I find that whenever I'm creating content for our clients, it's often geared towards a variety of users who have a variety of experience levels. And when that's the case, these expand macros become really useful to include all the information that is really necessary for new users, but not bog down the page with information that experienced users are already aware of. There are also several navigation macros in Confluence. So we have a table of contents macro. This gives us a table of contents for a page. So whenever we have a really long page that is packed with information, this is a great way to make it easy for our users to jump from section to section. We also have a page tree macro, which allows us to easily navigate a space. We can even include a search bar for this macro as well. Here at XBM, we are big fans of the contributor summary macro. We find this a great way to encourage group collaboration. We can see who all has participated, who hasn't participated, and occasionally if someone has maybe over-participated just a bit. All right, the last thing I want to talk about on this page is the Jira and Confluence integration. And in my opinion, this is one of the best things about Confluence is the out-of-the-box integration it has with Jira. Most of this integration happens through macros that utilize JQL or Jira Query Language queries to reference information in Jira. With these queries, we're able to specify the specific parameters or the scope of information we're looking for, and then these macros display that information for us. What really makes this integration so powerful is that it updates in real time. So anytime someone loads or refreshes the page, they're going to see the most up-to-date information from Jira. Here, I've used the Jira filter macro twice. First to reference a single issue where I now see information like the issue type and key, the summary, and the status of this issue. I can also use this macro to reference multiple issues and get this table output. If you are familiar with running queries over in Jira, you'll notice that this output is really similar to what we see in the Jira environment. Here, I am able to customize this table, and all of these issue keys and summaries are actually hyperlinks to these specific issues. And I'll go ahead and open this one up here just to show you it does take me directly to this issue I've referenced. If I have permission to do so in Jira, I can now edit and update this issue. And it also adds in this link to the Confluence page that I mentioned this issue on. The other Jira and Confluence integration macro that we use all the time is the Jira charts macro. And this again utilizes a JQL query to set the scope of the information, but then it creates this pie chart based off of really any field in Jira. In this example, I've used the assignee field so I can quickly see the proportion of issues that are assigned to each user and that are unassigned. We also always use this macro for to see the makeup of statuses or issue types in a project as well. All right, we've now looked at several editing capabilities in Confluence, and by themselves, each of these are really great. But when we put it all together, we're able to create some really powerful pages that allow us to fully leverage the capabilities of Confluence. And one way that we like to do that here at XPM is by creating customized reports. So let's take a look at a couple of examples we've made now. All right, what we are looking at now is an example of a status report that we like to use whenever we are working with our clients. This helps us keep track of our work internally while also being or providing some transparency to our customers. We're going to walk through this report in just a moment, and you'll notice that we are using a lot of the editing capabilities we just discussed. We're using tables and page layouts and macros and a lot of integration with Jira. But first, let's discuss why we like to really promote this idea of using Confluence as a reporting tool here at XPM. We find that utilizing Confluence in this way provides a lot of benefits, including the customization and flexibility of the tool. We're really able to customize not only the information that we have in our reports, but the layout, look, and feel of the report as well. Because of this customization and flexibility, we're able to create that consumable and interactive content. We can create content that is easy to digest, but also provides a lot of information, often in a very interactive way. An added bonus to reports like this is they can serve as an easy avenue for users or stakeholders to locate the information that we are reporting on. Another benefit to reporting in Confluence is that these reports are often easy to update. And a lot of that is through the integration with tools like Jira. Again, because those Jira integration macros update in real time, we save a lot of time having to manually update our report every time we need to issue it. Confluence also integrates with other tools as well, and we're going to take a look at a couple of examples of those later on in this presentation. The final benefit, although there are many we don't have time to discuss today, the final one I want to discuss is control of the message. With Confluence, we're able to fully control the message of our report, which means that we are able to create a report in the language of our stakeholders to present and explain our information. We also sometimes have stakeholders who don't want to dig through Jira to find the information they're looking for. Confluence is a great way to create that high-level overview look into a team's work that stakeholders are really looking for. One question that we hear a lot is, should I use Jira or Confluence for reporting? And we really like the concept of reporting at the technical team level in Jira. The out-of-the-box reports and the dashboard capabilities are really great and provide a lot of insight to the technical team and their managers as to the overall state of the team's work. But when it comes to external reporting, and by external, I mean outside of that technical team, Confluence is great for all of the benefits that we just walked through. We can create a customized report in the language of our stakeholders and create an engaging presentation of our information. So now let's go ahead and walk through this status report, which again is an example of a custom-made report that's using a lot of the editing capabilities in Confluence that we've already discussed. I'm going to step through each of these sections and we'll just talk briefly about the features of Confluence that we are using. We start here with our PTO and events section, and this has a calendar that has been created using the team calendars for Confluence functionality. This is now an included feature for Confluence Cloud Premium instances, and it is a free add-on for data center customers. Once we create this calendar, we are able to then reference it on a page, as I've done here, using a macro. Our teams can then update this calendar right here from the Confluence page. We can integrate external calendars like a Google or Microsoft calendar, and we can even pull in some data from Jira, like sprint dates and due dates if we are using sprints with our Scrum teams. Next to that, we have our status reports section. This here starts out with an information panel macro, giving me the important information of who I need to send this report to. And then we have a PDF version of all of our past reports. Our customers are able to easily download these reports and compare with the current state of things. Below, we have a summary section, and this section gives that quick overview look as to the progress and status of our engagement. We start out with a status macro here, and then we have some straight text telling us the summary, highlights, and challenges we are currently seeing. These 3 rows are actually the only section of this report that needs to be manually updated. And that's because we are using a lot of Jira integration in the rest of the report. Whenever we make a report like this, we also create a Jira project, and that is where we, the XVM team, create issues for all of the work that we are performing and tracking with our client. We then use things like the board in Jira to help us move our work through the workflow and create new issues and see the status of our work. Our clients are then able to come here to this report to see that high-level overview to make sure that our engagement is on track. Also in this summary table, we have an accomplishments and progress and next steps section. Each of these include one of those Jira filter macros, which we've customized. And this is showing us our work that has been recently completed, things we are currently working on, and stuff that is still in the to-do pile. Below that, we have a roadmap here, and this is actually some integration between Confluence and advanced roadmaps. We have made a plan over in advanced roadmaps and use the advanced roadmaps macro to reference it here where we see a view-only look at it. Even though this is view only, we are still able to interact with it. We can expand and collapse the hierarchy. We can also do the same with our fields. We just can't update any of the data directly here in Confluence. We can, however, use these hyperlinks again to open up the individual issues, or we even have a quick button here to open up this plan in advanced roadmaps so we can make any edits that we need. We don't have time today to really cover all the details of advanced roadmaps, but if this is something that you're interested in, we actually have another webinar called the Portfolio Management in Jira webinar that is happening on March 4th that will dig deeper into this topic. If you're interested in that, you want to learn more information or register, you can do so on our website, xvm.com. All right. Below our roadmap, we then have our deliverable progress. And this is, again, another information panel macro. And we also have another table here. And because we use this report to keep track of our engagement with our clients, we like to really make sure that we are being transparent as to the progress towards each of our deliverables that have been specified in our agreement. Here we've listed a description of the deliverable, the individual goals, and we have also included a Jira filter macro to reference any of the issues that apply specifically to this deliverable. The Jira charts macro gives us a quick look at the progress towards each deliverable as well. At the very bottom, we've used the expand macro. We will typically include the contract text or the service agreement text here so that everyone can reference it throughout the engagement. Because we are using a lot of Jira integration in this report, it really updates itself for the most part. We are using so much integration in the deliverables progress section, in the roadmap, and in the summary section that the only pieces of this report that we have to manually update week to week are these first 3 rows here. This maybe takes us 10 to 20 minutes every week, as opposed to the hour or more it might take us to gather all of the information that these macros are pulling for us. So this has been an example of a status report, but let's take a look at another custom report that can be used in project management. All right. So again, this is another custom report that we've created that we call our project dashboard. And this is to be used to help keep track of multiple projects at once. In this case, we have centered this project around a marketing department or team that is working on 5 individual projects. Before we dig into this dashboard, I do want to show you the individual reports that we've created for each single project. On my page tree over here at the left, you see that I have my project dashboard, which is what we're viewing now. And below that, we have an individual page for each of the 5 individual projects. And when I click into these, you will see that we have a nice table that's giving us that quick snapshot as to the overall status, the resource budget and schedule status, and also some of the most pertinent project details to our stakeholders. These details are actually being brought in, again, through a Jira filter macro. We have even more Jira integration here showing us our overall progress. We have our project details like the background and the scope, the milestones and deadlines, and also the reference materials at the bottom. A report like this is often easier to consume for stakeholders than sifting through Jira or reading a Jira issue, especially if they are not that familiar with the Jira environment. Instead of sending them to Jira and saying, maybe having a list of places they need to click to see the right report, we can use something like this or create a report like this rather and send them a link to it. And then they can see that overall snapshot they are looking for, as well as read up on the project details. I'm going to click into a couple of others of these reports just so you can see that we do have this table on all of them here. And each of these pages serve as a great report for a single project. But what happens when we or our stakeholders need to keep track of multiple projects? That is where the project dashboard comes in. And this now is giving us that overview into all 5 projects. We see our overall resource budget and schedule status, as well as the project details that we were seeing on each of those individual project pages. This is all being actually directly pulled from those individual pages through the page properties macro and the page properties report macro. So that means that we are just seeing an overview or an index of this information, and we only need to update it in one place on those individual project pages. If I were a stakeholder looking at this, I can quickly see that I probably need to pay some attention to Project Alpha because it's starting to get off track. Also on this page, I've included another advanced roadmaps macro. This is now giving us more of a calendar look at the deadlines for each of these projects and if they are on track or not. Okay, so I'm going to take a brief pause from talking about Confluence now to tell you a bit more about XVM and what we do. XVM, again, is a Platinum Solutions partner, which is the highest tier of partner you can be in the Atlassian partner program. And what we do is we provide services around all of the Atlassian tools, including Confluence. Our services revolve typically around training, consulting, and custom development. We have several training opportunities, including other webinars like this one that are hosted every Thursday, and they're always free and live, and you can sign up for those on our website. We also have public training classes and private training as well, and I'm going to talk more about the public training classes in just a moment. With consulting, we do a lot of consulting around implementations. We help build custom configurations for the Atlassian tools. We help with installations, migrations, and upgrades as well. Really, if you've liked anything that I've shown you here today, we would be able to come in, work with your team, make a custom solution for you, and implement it in your organization. We also do have some custom development services. We have a sister company that is a custom software development shop. And whenever we aren't able to build something directly in the Atlassian tools, we pull that team in and we make a custom developed solution for you. And an example of this would be like a custom add-on. I did mention that we have some public training classes, and one of those actually centers around Confluence, and it's called our Confluence Bootcamp. And this is a one-day hands-on course that is basically a hood-to-trunk look at Confluence. We'll cover everything that we've talked about here today, and just in a bit more detail. And you will actually get to learn how to do all of these editing capabilities and formatting yourself in a hands-on sandbox environment we use in class. Here is a schedule of all of our upcoming Confluence events, and our next Confluence Bootcamp is actually next Thursday, February 25th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time. This is a paid class, and if you want to view an outline of our curriculum or register for it, you can do so at our website, xbm.com. I've also included a QR code here. If you scan that, it will take you directly to the Confluence Bootcamp page. If you have any questions about the Confluence Bootcamp class or anything that I've talked about here today, our services, Confluence itself, please feel free to reach out. You can email me personally at vicky.bodorf@xbm.com, or you can always reach out on our website as well. We love to provide more information about the Atlassian tools and our services. And just so you are familiar with it, this is our website, again, xbm.com. You can come here, you can learn all about our services, any of our upcoming training events here, and you can always contact us from here as well. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is how we can really leverage Confluence to be a content portal for our teams. And another way for us to really think about this is Confluence can be a centralized knowledge sharing tool. And this can be done alongside all of the functions we talked about, alongside creating documents directly in Confluence and serving as a reporting mechanism as well. We often find that teams typically use a lot of different tools and sources of information, and finding these sources can sometimes be difficult, especially if you're a new team member. But even existing team members who've been around a while sometimes struggle with locating the right information in the right place. With Confluence, we are able to create this central organized portal of knowledge. And Confluence isn't necessarily supposed to replace those other tools that we are using, but rather it can be a central location for our users to go to where they know that they are going to be able to find the information that they need. And this can be accomplished in a variety of ways, and we are going to take a look at a couple of examples now. So I'm going to go back to my marketing example here, and this time we're going to look at this team homepage. And this homepage serves as a landing place for our marketing team. And here we can learn about our marketing department. We can learn where to contact our marketing department. We can also see the latest updates of any of our content. We can learn about who our team members are and their roles. And we also have a team calendar here as well. The section I really want to focus on, though, is this frequently used resources section. And this section includes a lot of links that actually go directly to a Google Drive folder or a document. I'm sure we've all experienced a situation where it's difficult to locate the specific folder or the specific document because we just have access to so much information in our organizations that it really can be difficult to keep straight. With Confluence, we can create pages like these that can be a quick and easy way to access the information that we need. Now the marketing team members know that they can come to this homepage, see their frequently used resources, open them up like so, and be taken directly to the proper Google Drive folder where they can locate the documents that they need. So linking to external resources is one way that we can create a content portal in Confluence, but another way is through the integration with other tools. And we've already talked a lot about the integration with Jira and advanced roadmaps, but Confluence can integrate with other tools as well. And one example that we use frequently here at XBM is the integration with a tool called Miro. Miro is a whiteboarding tool. It is not an Atlassian tool, it's outside of the Atlassian ecosystem, but we have found it incredibly useful for any visual work that we need to do, especially as we are not able to gather in the office around a whiteboard like we used to be able to do. In this example, we've made a new product plan, but like I mentioned, we are able to use this for any visual diagramming or anything that we are needing to do. This is fully interactive. We are able to zoom in and out. We can edit this board. We can also quickly open it up over in Miro as well. Confluence also integrates very well with tools like Trello. And Trello is an Atlassian tool. It is a Kanban list style making tool. And we use this a lot for individual to-do lists or tasks that are really repetitive and need to happen week to week or month to month. But it can also be used to keep track of things like a trade show, as we're doing here. This one is a trade show in Vegas 2021. That might be a little optimistic at this point, but our users can still come here. They can fully interact with this board. They can move cards from column to column. We can add in new cards, new columns, really anything we can do in Trello, we can do here on this board in Confluence. And any changes that we make to this board in Confluence will be reflected in Trello and vice versa. So we're always going to have the most up-to-date information. The last integration I want to show you is one of my personal favorites, which is some integration with Google Drive. Now, this is using an add-on, as was the Miro integration. I do want to point that out. They are using add-ons, but whenever we have them, in this case, we are able to not only view a Google Sheet, Doc, or Slides presentation, but we can even fully edit this. And that's what I really love about this integration. We can open this up just a bit, and we can see all of our normal editing functions here. We can even utilize a lot of our, or really all of our mathematical functions that we might be used to. We can go from we can view other tabs, we can add new tabs in, we can add in any of our pivot tables or graphs that we might be used to using. And what I really like about this integration is that we can even see if someone is simultaneously editing this document with us. I am able to see here that I am also in this document off screen. And if I am editing it, either whether I'm on the Confluence page as I am now, or if I am actually in the tool in Google Drive, I can actually see what changes somebody else is making alongside me. So now with the integration and documentation and reporting that we have done in this space, our members of the marketing team know that they can come directly to this Confluence space to access the external resources to see an overview of all of their projects and project details. They can keep track of their trade show, look at their new product plan, all in one place. Confluence is really being used by this marketing team to create documentation and custom reports, as well as a central location for all of their shared knowledge. So as you can see, Confluence really provides a lot of flexibility and customization options. However, Confluence is like any other tool. It will just amplify dysfunction if we don't take the proper precautions. And these precautions are what we like to call governance. Governance is really the concept of using a tool to the best of its ability while also managing it and maintaining it so there's not a lot of confusion or duplication of content. Things to consider when it comes to good governance and Confluence might be, how should our spaces be organized? Should they revolve around our teams, around departments, around individual projects? The trick to governance is, if you will, governance has no one right answer. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. It really is what works best for you, your organization, and the work that you do. So that is why having these probing conversations can help us really implement this good governance. Other governance considerations might be, how standardized should our content be, or who should have permission to do what in the various spaces. Answering questions like these will help us keep our Confluence site and other tools organized. The last thing I want to show is this diagram, and we like to show this as a representation of the before and after of Confluence. What we often see before Confluence is this sort of web of communication. Users are creating documentation in various different tools that then it is being shared across the organization from user to email, or even user to tool where other users need to log into that tool to then view that information. But what we don't see on the left is really one place that we can go to find all of this information. And that is what we can add whenever we bring Confluence into the picture. Confluence essentially serves as this central location for our information or sources of information that can come from multiple different places. Confluence really allows us to collaborate on all of the information in one location, which avoids things like multiple versions of a document existing in multiple tools. We can still use our other tools to create our documents. We can just add Confluence here as this middle level to be this portal or hub of information where users can locate or even discover the documents that they need. And this is really what we demonstrated, or I demonstrated in the marketing space that I just walked through. That team was really using it as a central place that users could come to find all of the information that they are involved with. It is common, we do see a lot that teams start using Confluence and they turn their users loose, and everyone gets really excited because there are a lot of customization options. There's a lot of capabilities that we've covered today, but eventually it does become pretty chaotic, and we see the kind of dysfunction and chaos we see over here on the left. Having these conversations around how to properly govern the tool helps us tame or even prevent this dysfunction and lets us fully maximize the efficiency of Confluence. If you are interested in learning more about the topic of governance, please do reach out. This is something that we help our clients with all of the time. We also have a governance webinar coming up on March 18th. It's another live 1-hour webinar that goes much more in depth in how we can implement good governance in our Atlassian tools and how we can use those tools to help us implement good governance in other places in our organization. All right. We have covered quite a bit about Confluence today. Hopefully now you see just how powerful of a tool it can be and how it can really serve our organizations as a documentation and reporting tool, as well as a centralized knowledge sharing portal. Okay, so we are now going to make our way to the Q&A section. If you have any questions, please do feel free to post them in the Q&A, and we will work through them and try our best to answer them live. Let's see, I do have a couple that are kind of more frequently asked questions that I can start with. The first one is, can I get a free trial of Confluence? And the answer is yes, you can. Anyone can spin up a free instance of Confluence Cloud. All you have to do is actually Google try Confluence, and it is going to take you to this search output, and the top link will take you here. And here you can choose to spin up a free instance of Confluence Cloud. You can also add in other products like Jira Software Management, and you'll notice that there actually is no credit card required, so there are no payment details. There is a free tier of Confluence, but if you're wanting to test out some of the capabilities that come with, say, the standard or the premium level, you are able to upgrade to that for a limited time as well. Alrighty. Okay, another frequent question that we get is, can any user access the external information that we are linking through things like the Miro integration or this Google Sheets integration here? And the answer is no. Any Confluence user who has permission to be on this page will be able to see the link. But in this case with the Google Sheets, if they do not have permission to view this sheet over in Google Drive, they will not be able to see it here. They will not be able to make edits. The same thing goes with referencing Jira issues, the Trello board here. You do have to have permission in that external tool in order to actually view and interact with that in the Confluence environment. Okay, I lost my screen there. Okay, so we're getting ready to evaluate Jira and Confluence at my company, and we're trying to decide between server and cloud. Do you have any thoughts? So my first thought is last year Atlassian did announce that server instances are going to be deprecated over the next 2 years, but there is still data center if you are looking for a self-hosted option. But because of this shift, Atlassian is pouring a lot of resources into Confluence Cloud, and they are really trying to make sure that any of the functionality that exists in a server or data center exists in cloud, and they're also adding in a lot of other features like that Teams for Confluence functionality. Also on this note, I do want to mention that a lot of companies are having to evaluate right now how they want to handle this deprecation of server. A lot of companies are on server instances, so they're needing to evaluate, should we move to data center or should we move over to cloud? And if this is something that you are working on doing, we are actually helping a lot of customers with this currently, so please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to start a discussion with you around how to evaluate these options, what option works best for you, and the services that we can provide to help you actually migrate all of your data through this process. Okay. Okay, how can I learn more about add-ons that I've included here and what's available and how do you install them? So to learn about to learn about add-ons, you can always Google the Atlassian Marketplace. And here you can see any of the add-ons that are available. You can search for them, you can read documentation about them. For example, we could find the Google Drive. And here's the Google Drive for Confluence add-on, where we are able to read about this, read any security concerns we may have, read up on their documentation. And then a lot of these add-ons we can actually try for free. Whenever you click this, you will generate a license, which then a Confluence admin or a system admin can then add into your instance for you. Are there use cases industry-wise available on website? So we do not have these examples live on our website, if that is what you're asking. But you can, we do have some case studies out there. I believe there are some about Confluence. We do also have several YouTube videos out there about Confluence, where you can see some more of these examples and how to use them in your organizations. The next question I have here is, oh, you're welcome. Is there a way to standardize our content? And there is. There is a really great way in Confluence, and it's something we didn't get into today, but that we do cover a lot in our Confluence Bootcamp, and that is the concept of templates. If you're using Cloud, you can actually click templates in the upper navigation bar, where you are able to view any of the templates here. We are able to also edit and create templates on both a space and a global level, and you can also disable them as well. So if you want to really standardize, you could create your own template that you want everyone to use and disable the rest of them. That may not really be necessary, but you can customize which ones you want your users to use. All right. All right, can we block users from viewing certain pages? Yes, you can. Confluence has permissions at various different levels. There are, of course, site and global permissions to give people access to the tool in general. There are also space permissions, which control who can do what and edit what, perform what functions in a space. And then we can also add in what we call page restrictions on individual pages. On any page, both in editing and publish mode, you will see this little lock button up at the top. And if you click this, and hopefully you can see this, I know it's a pop out and it may not come across the screen, but what I can see is the three options I have available to restrict this page. I can leave it completely open to where anyone can access it. And by anyone, that does mean anyone who has permission to be in this space. We can also limit it to anyone can view it, but only certain people can edit it, or we can fully lock it down to only specific people can view and edit. This is a great way if you are making, let's say, a document that isn't ready for everyone to view. You can lock it down, finish editing it, and then remove the page restrictions. I will mention that this does not make pages fully private. Space and Confluence admins will be able to still view those restricted pages. So do keep that in mind. Okay. We've just started using Confluence and I get a lot of emails. Can I turn these off? We do have some power, if you will, over our personal emails. We can always click our profile. And I believe we click settings here. And here we'll be taken to our personal settings where we can click email. And if we click edit, we are then able to unclick all of these. One that you might really want to consider unclicking is this auto watch. Whenever we create a space or a page, we will automatically start watching it. And whenever you watch something, it means you're going to get an email for any update that is made. So anytime someone edits and then publishes the page, or if they check off a task on that page or leave a comment on that page. So that can cause a lot of emails to be going out that you may not necessarily need to be keeping up with. Once you've deselected or selected whichever ones you want to be subscribed to, you can press submit, and that will take away some of those emails for you. You will still get some from Confluence, but that will lower them quite a bit. And that is something that we find really frequently that people kind of get a little frustrated with Confluence over is the amount of emails. The other thing I'll mention is a lot of times we find when people start using Confluence, they love the concept of watching a page because they want to get all the updates that they can. But over time, they watch maybe too many pages and they start getting too many emails and they just stop checking it altogether. If this is the case, or you feel like you might be in this position, you can always come to your profile and up here in this menu bar next to settings, we have watches. And here you'll see every space and page that you are watching, and you can choose to stop watching them in mass here. You can also do this on individual pages, but if you're needing to find like a summary of everything that you've watched, you can do that here and stop watching them. All right. Okay. Do search engines pick up Confluence pages? No, they do not. The search engines will not pick up your Confluence site or your Confluence pages, even if you make them public and available to anonymous users. All right. Are there any other questions? I'll wait just a moment. If there are, please put them in the Q&A. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. All righty. So that seems to be it. If you are interested in learning more about how to make these changes or any of these editing capabilities, please do check out our Confluence Bootcamp. Again, we have one next week. We also have one later in April. We have them about every 6 weeks. If you have any questions about that class or anything that I've covered here today, please do feel free to reach out. Again, my email is vicky.bodorf@xbeam.com. I know that that can sometimes be hard to spell, so please feel free to send in some information over at our website, xbm.com, and myself and the coordination team will get back to you as quickly as possible. So thank you for joining us today. And I will see you all at the next webinar.